Hello,
So,
Patrick.
would you like to tell us what the main gist of what you were saying today? What do you want people to go away with from what you had to say to us today?
Okay. My main message for people today was that trauma is held at a visceral level within the body, and that there's very little input that we can have after we've had trauma. It's almost like we're going to a shutdown because we can't take any more sensory input, and we're waiting for the final blow. Basically, we've gone into a life-saving mechanism whereby the body is trying to survive, but it then conserves its energy so much. But it's almost as if it's died and it's surrendered and it's ready for the final blow. But it's very difficult to continue living in that body after the trauma because the body doesn't have a template for surviving such a traumatic event. And I do a lot of work where I do sensory regulation with people who've had trauma so that they can learn to be in their bodies again and trust their bodies again and regulate what the input and output of their bodies so that they can use their body as a resource again.
And you had some tips when you were speaking about how therapists can work with
Yes.
patients to understand it.
Yeah. I think a lot of us come to counselling and to therapy with a story in our heads, and we think we have our story off pat. But I think when people start telling their story, they can often drift off, or they can go into a trance, or they can get overwhelmed. But the tips that I would be to bring the person back to the moment, either use some sensory awareness things, or some activity, or some walking, or some movement in order to keep them in the body, but also keep focused on what they're doing, but make sure that they stay in the body rather than dissociate again.
I can ask, how have your own experiences, do you think, affected the sort of therapy that you're delivering and the sort of affinity, rapport you have with people who've experienced PTSD?
I think people who've had trauma realise from the language I use and the experiences that I relate to them how profound my traumatic memory is, and I think they find it much easier to listen to me and to trust me and to return to me, because it's often that my story resonates with the feelings that they're having in their bodies as well. So I think it's a good bridge builder to all sorts of people who've had traumatic events.
Thank you.
Thank you.